Uriah the Hittite, murdered by David in an attempt to cover up their sin. Well, he would have died in the war anyways. David would have been able to have married Bathsheba legitimately. And this would have come to pass because Solomon had to be born.
The plan.
Like God had said to him, if this had not been enough, I would have given such and such unto thee. And that was a direct reference to Bathsheba. Again, foretold 8 years. Gave him the name 8 years before he's born. Now, Solomon's born in the year 1034. He becomes king in 1015. He's a young man, as his father was, and he only reigns 40 years. Okay? He dies even younger than his father. There's reason for why he dies young. He dies in 975 at the age of 59 years old. And he's 7 years younger than his father when he dies. Go over to Deuteronomy chapter 17. We want to read something very important here in regards to the kings of Israel. Deuteronomy 17, we're going to look at 14 to 20. Deuteronomy 17, picking it up at verse 14 down to verse 20. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes, to do them. Now, these are vital commandments that God gives to Moses for Israel when, God says, thou shalt, when they have a human king. Okay. First point is, God chooses who's to be king, not the people. Okay. People, give us a king, like give us a king. So God gave him a king according to, I say, you be careful what you ask for. God gave him a king after their own heart. Then, after he got rid of Saul, he said, now I'm going to give you a king after my own heart. God chose. Okay? He must be an Israelite. And, again, because of the prophecy in Genesis 49, he must come from the tribe of Judah. Okay? Those are absolutes that have to be done. Okay? Okay? He is not to multiply horses to himself. Good morning.
Good morning. God bless you.
Okay? The horses come from Egypt. Okay? Where the horses are worshipped. Okay? He's not to trust in Egypt and the power. He's supposed to be trusting in God, not war horses out of Egypt. He is not to multiply wives either. Go over to Matthew 19 with me for a moment. And we're not going to get very far today in looking at Solomon, but Matthew 19. Pick up at verse 4 down to verse 8. And he answered and said unto him, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. And they say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? And he saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. Now, one of the customs that has taken hold of Israel at this time is having as many wives as you can afford to have, so you can produce as many sons as possible. Now, there's a multitude of problems that come in with it, not the least of which is who among the sons is going to succeed to the throne. Now, it ought to be the eldest son from the first wife, okay? But that quite often did not happen. And in fact, it doesn't happen here with Solomon. Not only is he's not even the first child from Bathsheba. He's the second. Of course, the first one dies. She gives him some more children after that. Okay, but Bathsheba's not his first wife, and he's not the eldest. But yet, see, it's whom God chooses, and all they were doing by having these multitude of wives. Okay, was just muddying up the waters and making a problem. God also warned him because the wives could turn his heart away from the Lord. And we're going to see this with Solomon. Okay, he's not to multiply to himself wealth, silver and gold. Now, David brings a lot of wealth into the nation. He doesn't keep a lot of it for himself, though. The king is to personally hand copy the words of God for himself. Okay. He is to copy that, and then he is to always have it with him. He is to read from it and to study from it every day of his life. Now, we see David failing in some of these things, obviously, and he sets a bad example for Solomon in it. And though it's not stated in the scriptures, there's no doubt in my mind, especially from reading the Psalms, that David did make the copy of the scriptures. That, I think, quite well. Like I said, though he brought a lot of wealth into the kingdom, he did not keep much of it for himself. Most of it he dedicated to the temple and to the Lord, using it in preparation for the building of the temple. That's in, again, First Chronicles in chapter 22. He talks about all his preparations there for that. Okay, David did fail in the wife category, though. He had Michal. He had Ahinoam. Michal's the daughter of Saul. Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess. Abigail, the Carmelitess. Maacah, she's the daughter of Talmi, the king of Moab, where David had his parents go and stay while he was running from Saul. There is Haggith. It doesn't mention anything about her other than the fact that she's from Jerusalem. We have Abital, same thing, Jerusalem, Eglah, Jerusalem, and then Bathsheba. Bathsheba is the daughter of a man by the name of Elam. He's also called Amiel in the scriptures. Ahithophel is his father. Ahithophel was one of David's counselors. Okay, he's Bathsheba's grandfather. So, guess what happens when he finds out what David's done? When you go and you read the story of where Absalom rebels against David, Ahithophel defects to Absalom and tries to get even with David for what he did to his granddaughter. by counseling Absalom to hunt him down and kill him. Now Bathsheba gives David 4 living sons. We have one, the name is never given, who dies. Solomon, Nathan, Shobab, and Shemiah. This is really important. Okay? Joseph, when you read Joseph's genealogy, he comes through Solomon. So he has a direct lineage right back to the throne. Mary comes through Nathan. Okay. Again, this is another reason why David was going to marry Bathsheba. Okay. Had to marry Bathsheba, had to have these sons. Okay. The lineage of Jesus Christ goes back to 2 sons that come from Bathsheba. God was going to set it up. God was going to take care of it. Trust the Lord. And then it mentions 10 concubines in 2 Samuel 5:15-16 that we aren't given the names. So he's got a total of 18. Okay? 18 wives and 18 children. You read David's life story and his sons and all the trouble he has from some of his sons and the things that go on. Anyway, we're going to stop there for this morning. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? We'll pick up with Solomon's reign, Lord willing, next week, and continue to go on from there. Because again, the covenants that God makes with David apply to Solomon, but Solomon messes up really badly. And Solomon, he doesn't lose the kingdom, he doesn't lose the crown, but he does end up with the kingdom being split. And God said, okay, I'll punish them, I'll chastise them, but I won't take the crown or the kingdom away from them. Eventually he does, because it gets to a point where God says, this is it, I've had it. We'll get to that point eventually. All right, if there's no questions or comments, we'll stop there for this morning.